Hello and welcome back to Two Chicks and a Horror Flick. My name is Felicia Connor and this is the lovely
Tawny Ray.
And we are very excited to be talking tonight about, well, we're always excited to be talking. It's like our favorite thing to do. And tonight we're talking about You Should Have Left. So that's the newly released movie with Kevin Bacon. And so we're super excited. But before we continue on, Tawny Ray, what are you drinking?
I got some nice barefoot Moscato over here. And also I got my nails done to be a hand model at work. So that's why I got these really long nails happening.
Those nails are beautiful. They're fierce, shiny red nails. I love them.
Thank you. They're very long though. I have to get them shortened up a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I used to get my nails done. I loved them. They were more of an oval shape and they were long and kind of like a transparency pink. And I just was obsessed with them. But when I would type, maybe if I have a job where I don't have to ever type, it was so irritating because I can't stand the feeling of typing with the tip of the nail. Like, I don't know what it is.
Okay.
It's like creepy cold chill for me. So I try to type with the soft part of my finger. So like if I was going to do shift in like an uppercase P and it would click on 0, my nail would because it was so long.
Yeah.
Drove me crazy.
I keep hitting caps lock on accident and then like typing in all caps and I'm like, shit, no, I'm not yelling.
That's awesome. So I am drinking, I have water.
Yeah, what are you drinking?
I have water right here. I'm being careful because it's not something that's going to explode, but it makes so much noise on my desk. But it's that beer, that non-alcoholic beer I love.
Yeah.
How do you think you say that? Syria? I don't know, but this looks like a Roman or maybe like a pagan person. I don't know.
No clue.
I don't know.
It looks like Syria, but Ceria.
But it's really yummy. This is the one I was talking about that tastes to me like a Blue Moon or like Shock Top. So I really like it. Yeah.
Nice. Refreshing.
All right. It is so
Summery.
refreshing. It's so summery. All right. So we are talking about You Should Have Left. It was released in 2020. So it's a new movie that was just released. I wrote the genre down because I'm trying to learn. And unless this is not even a genre, but it's a psychological horror. That's what it was classified as, psychological horror. And I really like psychological horrors, I'm realizing. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That does seem like your favorite genre so far.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, I really like them too. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm glad we figured that out.
I would have said thriller horror, but I guess they're very close, right?
Yeah. I think the psychological aspect, and we'll get into it, probably really played the biggest part where you just think like they're going crazy. But before we get into that, the director, David Koepp? Do you think I have that right?
I think it's
Koepp?
I think it's Koepp.
Koepp. Okay.
Koepp? Who knows? I don't know.
David, I'm going to say Koepp. David is great. Okay. So David is the director. And I wrote this down because I was really surprised. I like David. He was the screenwriter for Jurassic Park, The Lost World, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Carlito's Way, Mission Impossible, Jack Ryan, Spider-Man 2002, War of the Worlds, and Angels and Demons. I didn't like The Lost World, but, and the Crystal Skull was, it was fine. But anyways, I was like, oh, wow. He was the director of, I really don't know any of these except the two with Kevin Bacon that we're talking about. But The Trigger Effect, I listed them because I thought you might know. The Trigger Effect, Stir of Echoes, Secret Window, Ghost Town, Premium Rush, Mordecai, and You Should Have Left.
I've only seen Secret Window.
Okay.
Aside from the two Kevin Bacons also.
Okay, cool.
I think. That's the one with Johnny Depp, right?
I don't remember. I mean, I don't know.
I think so. Anyway, go ahead.
I wanted to put that it was produced by Kevin Bacon and Jason Blum. so the founder and CEO of Blumhouse Productions, and realizing I love Blumhouse. I don't really think, like, when I'm doing the hashtags on the social posts and I'm putting who produced it, I didn't really put two and two together, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Paranormal Activity, Insidious, The Purge, Sinister, The Gift, Hush, Split, Ouija, Origin of
Oh
Evil.
God, The Gift is so good. We haven't even talked about that one.
Oh.
But that's one we've both seen.
I've seen it.
The Gift. Didn't you just list that? And you've seen it?
I don't think I've seen The Gift.
Oh, I thought you meant you've seen it. Okay, sorry.
Oh, no, I was looking at, Tawny and I were looking at what movie we want to watch next, and I was looking at like a Google of horror films, and I saw The Gift. I haven't seen it. The Invisible Man and Halloween and Us. So, love this production company. So the cast.
Yeah, they do a lot. They're like one of the leading like horror production houses, I guess.
Love them. The cast. So we have Theo Conroy. He's our main guy, and he's played by Kevin Bacon. Susanna is his wife, his much younger wife, and she's Amanda Seyfried. Is that
Seyfried, I think?
Seyfried? Okay. You probably know her from Mamma Mia and a slew of other movies.
Mean Girls.
Oh yeah, that's right. And then
I feel like I've mostly seen her in comedic things, but anyway, sorry. Go
ahead. Yeah. I just think of her with Mamma Mia, but yeah. And then Avery Essex, which was Ella, which was their little girl, their daughter, and she was a cutie. Oh my god.
This was like, I feel like one of the smallest cast movies I may have ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, or it's got to be in the top like 10 or something. Like, it's like so small. When we watched the credits and it was so slim. It was like 7 people, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Because you only run into a couple of people in the town, and then there's the few people on set, and that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let me give you a little synopsis. So Theo Conroy, Bacon. Theo Conroy is a successful middle-aged man whose marriage to his much younger actress wife, Susanna, is shredding at the seams. Frayed by her secretiveness, his jealousy, and the shadow of his past. In an effort to repair their relationship, Theo and Susanna book a vacation at a stunning remote modern home in the Welsh countryside for themselves and their 6-year-old daughter, Ella, Avery Essex. What at first seems like a perfect retreat distorts into a perfect nightmare when Theo's grasp on reality begins to unravel, and he suspects that a sinister force within the house knows more than he or Susanna have revealed, even to each other. The only thing I have to say about that synopsis is I did not get that at all, that their relationship was fraying in the beginning. I know this is just the synopsis that was put out by Blumhouse. Because she was so understanding. Yeah, he made some comments that he's working on his jealousy, but it didn't even seem to faze her. I actually thought to myself, they are such a sweet couple. Like, she is so, and he was irritated about her, always being on her phone, but it seemed like they were such a sweet couple, and I thought they just wanted to get away together before she was, going to be filming for 8 months that movie. But anyways,
I agree. I didn't get that either in the beginning. I mean, like, it seemed like there were some minor problems, but it didn't seem like a huge deal yet.
And I didn't think that's why they were getting away either.
No, me either.
But anyways, I mean, it's not like a deal breaker. Yeah, so Tawny. Oh, I guess I could tell you, this is based on a novel by the same name by Daniel Kellman. And Bacon and Koepp also collaborated on Stir of Echoes, as you guys know, because we just talked about it. All right, Tawny, what did you think about this movie? I never know what I'm going to get with you.
I know. Spoiler alert, turn back now if you don't want to have this movie spoiled for you. I didn't love this.
Okay.
I didn't hate it, but I did not love it either. What did you think? That's my hot take.
I really liked it. I was trying to think if I wanted to say love or really liked. I did really like it, almost on the verge of I loved it. Yeah, Well, do you want to go first of why you didn't like it? Or do you want to hear why I liked it? Go, girl.
I don't know. Okay, I'll go first. I don't like to go first when I didn't like something.
Okay, do you want me to go then?
You go first.
I really liked it because I loved all the characters. Like, I genuinely, this was like The Descent for me. In a sense of that I just so badly wanted them to get away. There's some movies where when the ending isn't a happy ending, but it's a good ending. Like you're like, ah, man, that's horrible. Nobody got away. Everybody died. But that was really a great ending. This one, so right in the middle, we had 30 minutes left of the movie and I actually had to stop it to go take care of something. And whenever I just had it paused on the TV screen, and whenever I came by and saw the TV screen, I thought, oh my God, please get away. Like I had anxiety about, like I thought, because of that vision he had in the movie of him finding his daughter drown, I thought he was going to wake up having drowned her and then be accused of it. I just was dreading, I was dreading it and I was so worried. I loved the characters. I loved that they did realistic things. Let's get out of the house. The next scene, they're packing. Yeah. Hell yes. Or
I liked that too.
Yeah, fuck this, we're not staying. And he's walking in the middle of the night with his kid because you would. And like, I loved that it was realistic in all of those ways. Things that are
I love when sorry to interrupt you, but I love when he was like talking to the daughter and she's like, but I don't want to like walk. And he's like, do you want to stay in this house? And she's like, no. He's like, me either. Like, we're getting out of here.
I love how they were honest to the kid. Like he says to her, as any parent would, it's going to be fine. And she just looks at him and he goes, okay. Or like, everything is fine. And he's like, okay, everything is not fine. Like, shit is crazy. One of my biggest fears is not having control of my mind or losing my mind. The thought of that makes me nervous. Not like it's going to happen and I worry about it every day, but that idea scares me. So this and him losing his mind, not being able to control it. Another huge fear of mine is not being able to protect my children. So the fact that he really couldn't protect her, there was nothing he could do because it was so crazy. So all of those elements I really liked, and it really stressed me out and made me worry.
Yeah, that's totally understandable. I agree that I really liked all the characters. I had no problem with them as a family. Like, they were believable, they acted well, they made choices, like good choices, like you're saying. The one time that I was just like, come on, dude, is when they come back in the house after walking to the village, and then they end up back at the house, and then he's like, you go to sleep, I'll protect you, and then he goes to sleep. I was like, no. She gets to sleep, you do not. Like, as a parent, and you would not be able to sleep anyway, probably, because you're so freaked out. Like, I was just like, that was the one moment where I was like, no way, I wouldn't go to sleep if I were him.
I feel the same way. I feel the same way that he even went all the way back into a room. Like, I really was thinking, okay, if it's so cold,
don't leave her.
Maybe I would sit up against the front door. If it was still so cold, maybe I would sit right inside the front door with my foot sticking outside so the door wasn't shut. Like, I was thinking of all of these things. And then my daughter goes, well, I would at least go upstairs and get a blanket. And I'm like, really? Because you walk through a door, you don't know what room you're going to be going into. You know what I mean? It keeps changing. So why would you even risk it? And they're like, oh, yeah, that's true. But they were just like, he tucks her in and he's like, cool. And they are sleeping. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me after what just happened?
I know. Yeah. I was just like, that was the one part. I was like, this does not seem like a realistic thing. And then he gets up and walks away from her. I'm like, no, you would not. I was like, and then of course, the door shuts. Everybody's lost again. That was the one part that I didn't love. But so I liked all the characters, and I'm sorry, I don't want to, did you have more that you wanted to say overall about the movie?
No, I liked all of that. Her, which wasn't like an unrealistic response, but I just have to say it. I thought she or maybe it was because I felt it was unrealistic. Susanna seemed like she loved him so much. And it's not that I don't believe she wasn't cheating. And oh shit, I literally said, oh shit, she has a second phone.
I
And
know,
the
yeah.
way Kevin Bacon and her, like the acting, my heart ached for him. I think he did
Yeah.
such a good job. I just really liked him. My heart ached for him. And then he goes out there and says it, and she's such a cold bitch all of a sudden. Like,
Yeah. That
all
was
of a
weird to me
sudden,
too.
she's just like, yeah, fuck it, kind of attitude. And I'm like,
She doesn't even apologize or like that I remember. There was nothing that was like, I'm so sorry, I messed up. Like, she was just like, yeah, I'm
get
caught.
over it. Yeah, she
I
was
was
just.
cheating on you. Or
But
I
then when she
am.
comes back the next day and she's like, let's just work this out. Yeah. But that's it. That's it.
Yeah, that was weird too. That's true. There was a weird, because they seemed so warm
So.
towards each other
Mhm.
before that moment, you know?
Mhm.
And yeah, that was interesting. But
So you tell me your
yeah.
stuff.
So I agree that like I loved the characters and I really wanted them to succeed. But everything else in this movie kind of, like I said, I didn't hate it. And honestly, like I feel like one of the saving factors in this movie for me is that I love the idea of being like trapped in a house like that. Like I love the like weirdness of like he opens a door and he's in the different place and there's like shifting weird shit about the house. I loved the concept of that. But then I just felt like it was so predictable. You know what I mean? Like the moment in the very like first 10 minutes of the movie when we see the old man, I was like, that's Kevin Bacon. Like I just knew. I was like, I could tell it's him and his voice, and I know that it's just gonna be him in the end of the movie. And like, you know, through the movie you start to be like, oh, he definitely killed his wife, right? Like, because the whole thing is like, oh, his wife died under mysterious circumstances, and people think that he killed her, but he didn't. But you're like, okay, but he did. Like, yeah,
Oh,
you know?
see, I didn't think, well, I didn't think about that. I mean, I thought we don't know for sure, but he's so loving and he's such a good dad. Like, so I knew that that was something that maybe he did it, but I didn't know for sure until towards the end. And
I should say that I didn't know for sure, but I was betting on it.
And
You know what
I
mean?
didn't know that was Kevin Bacon until
Wow,
you could
okay.
actually see Kevin Bacon's face when he was beating the crap out of himself in the basement.
I think I'm usually not that astute. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know but it was his voice. Like, I just instantly was
Oh
like,
my God, I didn't see that that was him at all. But I'm not very observant. So,
I don't think I am either. There just must have been something in the voice where I just picked up on it immediately. I was like, that's
okay.
Kevin Bacon for sure. You know what I mean? And then I was just like, oh yeah, that's where we're headed. Like, I just, you know. And there were a couple moments where I was like, I don't know, maybe he's like a different person. Maybe he was somebody who stumbled across him murdering his wife and he killed him too. You know, like I started to kind of entertain those thoughts as we went through the movie, but nothing shocked me. And so that was kind of disappointing in the way that I was just like, you know, like it was just like, okay. And then in the end, he's like, I'm staying here and you guys get out. You know, like I was just like, okay. The only thing, and then also when he is like going through the house and there's like some weird shit happening, and then they finally leave the house and he turns around and looks, or she looks, the daughter, and his silhouette is in the window. I was like, that's Kevin Bacon. Like, you know what I mean? I just knew. I was like, that's definitely a silhouette. Like it's gonna be some time loop thing, kind of like some weirdness.
Holy shit, Tawny. I had no idea. No idea. I would love to hear like comments from people who watched it before they heard our episode, and just to see like, am I just totally oblivious. Like, I didn't catch on to any of that it was a time loop, that until they actually started showing the time loop. I didn't catch any of that.
Yeah, and I don't know if like time loop is like the correct term because it's not. It's just there's like some weirdness happening with the house, so it's not technically time travel, but he's like being forced in and out of the house at different times at different places and stuff. But just so I was just like, oh, yep. Like, you know what I mean? Just all the way through the movie. So the only thing that I feel like I liked that kind of surprised me was I did, and then, oh God, he said something too that I was like, okay, come on. I'll have to remember what it was. But the one thing that I liked was when he was like, he was talking about the wife that died, and he was like, I could have pulled her out, or like I was so angry and for so long I should have left beforehand. And I was like, oh shit, for the title you should have left. It's like a double entendre kind of. It means yes, you should have left the house, but also you should have left the relationship before it got that bad. And that was like the one thing that I was like, oh, cool, like I like that, you know?
Yeah, see, I didn't even think of that until you just told me right now.
Yeah,
that was good.
That was a good one. But I also didn't like how the shopkeep was so like blasé. And then there was this other woman like in the town waiting for him to come back to his car and was like said some weird shit like, have you seen him? Like he sees you.
Oh, you'll meet him. Oh yeah, he sees you. That's right.
All of that was very weird. Like I was just like, okay. Like this feels very, I don't know. It felt like a very old trope or something. Like it was just like
the whole town knows that the devil has this house or what have you.
Right. And I think that can be scary when they're working together. You know what I mean? Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre style. Like that's
they kind of were,
scary.
Right? Well, I mean, the shopkeeper said
they didn't help.
It's not for me to decide when you leave. I did, per that though, I did vocally say how that is such BS that if I was in there and this old guy was telling me all this stuff about the creepy house and all of this, and even if I thought he was a whack job, I definitely would ask more questions. And then I go out and there's some woman and she's saying that creepy stuff and, he definitely saw you. And he just was like, weirdo. Come on. Seriously, you would be like, whoa, lady, what are you talking about? And if she wouldn't tell you anymore, I'd be right up in that store and be like, okay, what the F is this about? Why is everyone, you know what I mean? At least ask more questions, not just so easily dismiss. And
he's even like, oh, you want me to take this ruler? Okay. Like, it's very just, that whole interaction was weird to me, and I didn't like, it just wasn't. It didn't add to it didn't seem scary to me at all, and it just was, like, weird, like...
Yeah, if someone hands you a rule, I definitely would be like, is this for a purpose? Like, is there something specific you think I'll be using this for? Instead,
what am I gonna find?
Yeah. Instead, he's like, hey, thanks for the ruler. I don't know. I agree.
Yeah, that was weird. And then, I don't know. There was just, like, a lot of, I feel like, loose threads and stuff that I was just like... I don't know. It was all right. It wasn't terrible to watch. Like, I felt like I was entertained the whole way through, and there were moments of, like, I really was stressed out for them as a family. And I will say, like, to give credit, there is an interesting dynamic, I think, with the main character, Kevin Bacon. I refuse to use his character name. Only his actor name is what I'll call him. But I feel like they kind of did set up a nice, like, weird gray area situation with him, because by the end of the movie, like, you know that he murdered his wife, but you're also like, he has some redeeming qualities. He does absolutely care about his daughter, like, so much. He loves her to death. I shouldn't have said to death.
Yeah.
He loves her. He's not going to love her to death, because if he had done that, he would have kept her in the house with him, right? Like, so he loves her enough to set her free and send her back to, not hell or whatever, purgatory, whatever it is, that he's in the house. But so that was interesting. that you kind of by the end of the movie, even though he like technically like part of me is like, I don't know, did he like was she like trying to commit suicide and he just like let her? Like where is the
Yes.
like
So I thought the exact same thing. He was so redeeming, and his relationship with his daughter was so precious. Like when he said, "You are beyond enough," and he said that whole little thing, like I was like, oh my God. Like this was so beautiful. I did not want him to die in that house. So I even was talking to the kids about this, that watched the movie with me, my teens. It's definitely almost like an Catholic old religious sort of narrative. You sin. If you have sins, you go to hell. Oh, you know what I mean? Because even he wasn't able to redeem himself through his love for his daughter or anything like that. And I even thought the same thing. And like, okay, yes, he let her die, so that's not okay. But she took a bunch of pills and drank a bunch of wine and like, was it murder? I guess it is considered murder if someone, you don't pull him out of the water, but you don't hate him for it. I'm just trying to say, being honest, you don't hate him for it.
It's not like he murdered somebody in cold blood, like stabbed them or shot them point blank. You know what like it's a weird.
Or how they made it sound like he was saying, the media made it sound like maybe she had taken the wine and the pills outside of the tub and he put her in the tub.
Right, he put her in there and like held her under. Yeah, that is kind of the sense that you get from her talking about it earlier. Yeah, so that was interesting.
Trying to think if my husband had if my husband had an ex and that whole, not the situation with the house, but he finally came forward to me and was like, this is horrible. I was trying to think, like, would I be so upset with him I wouldn't want to be with him, or would I understand? I don't know.
Yeah, what would the reaction be there?
Yeah. Would I be scared of him? I mean, I don't know. But they did set it up too. He was getting really irritated and frustrated in his journal by his wife, but she was cheating on him too. And it's not like he was going to kill her. He just wanted to get away from her and have his kid. So I don't know. I'm conflicted.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that was the point. And I liked that. I liked that they drew this like, sort of morally ambiguous character. Because he didn't kill somebody in cold blood, but he definitely let somebody die when he could have saved them. And so there was like, you're like, I don't know how to feel about this, right? But then he's such a good father, and he truly cares. He's not a psychopath. Like, that's the thing is, like, he's not just like a person operating out in the world with no thoughts or feelings about other people. That's not the situation. So anyway, I liked that.
He was the calmest guy. Like, even when this is another thing I loved, realistic. When he saw that she had two phones, his wife had two phones, spoiler alert, because she's cheating, and you really don't expect it because she's so loving to him. And then when he checks her phone and everything, I really didn't expect that she was cheating on him. And so when he texted her and she had two phones, I was like, oh, shit. But what did he do? He took the phone and went out and said, you have two phones, which I loved because that is a normal human reaction. I thought for sure he was just going to keep it to himself and brood about it, but no. So I really liked that. But he was so calm.
Even on top of that, she's like, why don't you yell like a normal person? And he's like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Like, in a very weird way, I identified with that so wholeheartedly because, like, I am not, like, a yeller. I'm not, like, that's just not me. And every, like, I would say, like, 99% of the disagreements or whatever that I've had with people are very, like, calm and, like, I just, like, and I think, so I just liked that in him because I feel like that's how I operate, too. And I was just like, yeah, that's realistic. Like, I'm not going to, like, flip out. I'm just going to be like, here's the thing. But even still, he does say some, like, mean shit.
Oh, he's hell upset. Yeah.
But, like, it's totally, like, just what you would say in the moment. Yeah.
I totally would have.
Yeah, that was a sad moment, though. That was very sad. Because you were, like, rooting for them.
You really were. And like when he was checking her, when she was in the bath and he was checking her phone, and you're just like, oh God, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And there was nothing. And you're like, yes. And he apologized and it was good. His reaction, right, when he saw the phone was, what he said, that's too bad. But it was really like,
oh, yeah.
That's too bad. Or that's unfortunate. I don't remember, but it was just like this, God, it's almost like he allowed himself at that point to like trust her, and then that was sad.
That was cutting. Ugh.
How about that
Right
sex scene where he shows up on the set and she's like having a sex scene? Like they did that funny. So good too. But okay, so we're super divided on this. I really liked it. You guessed the whole thing, and so I guess after talking to you though, because I kept thinking, why can't he just leave too? But when they were in their house originally, not the getaway house, but their home back in LA or wherever, that guy, the Stetler, showed up in his dreams, in his daughter's dreams. So he couldn't have left, I guess.
I got the impression actually that the first sequence of dreams, she wasn't dreaming any of it. It was all his dream.
It was all his dream? Okay.
Yeah. But I think that it's still the same concept in the way that he couldn't outrun his own. Oh, that's what it was, dude. I just remembered. Because they did all kinds of fucking shadow play from the get. Like, from the very beginning of the movie, they did all kinds of shadow. And at the very end, he's like, you can't outrun your shadow. I was like, okay. Like, okay. I get it. Like, I was just like, how... Okay. It just was like...
I didn't even get it that, like, corny to me. Like, the shadow stuff scared me. It made me super nervous. Especially that first one where she's looking down, the little girl's looking down the hall and saying, is anyone there? And then that shadow changes. And then when you said you can't escape your own shadow, I don't think I was thinking of the shadow play. Yeah.
Yeah. They showed his shadow though over and over again, and I was just picking up on it, like, okay, I see what's happening, and so by the time and then just to like seal the deal and have him say it, I was just like, it's too much. That was like really like I don't know what's the word, contrived. Is that the right word? That just felt
that's the right word.
Cheesy, on the borderline of cheesy, and I was just like,
okay. I felt opposite.
But to bring it back to what you're saying, like that's what I took away, was like he knew that he had done something that he felt so deeply guilty about and that he knew was wrong at his core, and so he couldn't leave. His soul belonged to the devil or the house or however you want to look at it. I mean, that's kind of how I read it, is like his soul is being trapped in that place, the house, and it is sort of like the devil taking your soul,
Yeah.
And so it attracts bad people who have done something bad and keeps them.
Well, that would be every damn person. Almost every single person in the world. Like, there's nothing about being redeemed. Like, what if he went back and admitted it? You know what I mean? Like...
True, yeah.
Oh, well, though, that wouldn't have been as, scary, I
That's
guess.
a good point, though, because, like, I do feel like in As Above, So Below, like, those people got the chance to, like, you know what I mean? They got the chance to, like, say what they felt bad about and be able to escape.
Yeah.
But it seems like he had
it's like confessing.
No option.
Yeah, confessing your sin, redeeming yourself, making what you've done wrong right. Like if he was to go back and say, and serve prison time for it wouldn't be first degree murder, I don't think, but whatever, it doesn't matter. But there was no chance for that. Sorry, nope, you're in hell. Done.
Yeah.
Because, I'm sorry, but adultery is right next to murder for mortal sins.
Oh, so she's going down.
Why did she get to go off with that cute little kid and not get trapped in that house?
That's a good question, honestly. Somebody teach that little girl to drive. She's got to drive her own ass out of there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's an adulteress, though.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if we want to list mortal sins and what you go to hell for, that's one of them.
If we want to get technical. I was watching the movie and I was like,
technical.
I know Felicia hates cheaters, so she's gonna hate this bitch. She's gonna hate her.
Yes. Oh, I was raging when she was so flippant and she was telling him how he should feel about her whoring ass. Like, I was so mad. I was so mad. Oh my gosh. And then I'm like, no, you take that kid and go stay in town and she can hear. Have fun. Have fun in this fun house. And then go.
Yeah.
Why would he? That was one thing, actually. Why would he stay?
Sorry,
Because
that was shocking. That was so loud.
Why would he stay? Because I know he's mad and upset, but he just experienced all that shit enough for him to be like, we got to pack. And now he's like, you know what? Forget it. You go and stay in town and pick us up in the morning and we'll stay here. No. The house is still scary as shit. Like, how about, you know what? Screw this vacation. Let's all go home. Or how about you, cheater woman, go fly to London and start your London journey early. I'm going home with Ella.
Also, I do feel like there's like a world in which you'd be like, okay, that sucks. Let's handle that in like 3 days when we get home. Right? Like, let's just go ahead and pack up and
go
leave.
Home.
But also, I get that, like, if you're, like, again, the implication is sort of, like, up until this moment in time, you sort of, get this idea that he's somebody who doesn't have very good control over his emotions, and because he's angry, he's asking her to separate from him, and if he continues to be around her, he might do something rash to her. So, like, I kind of bought that in the way that I was like, okay, they need to he's growing as a person and he's realizing, like, I can't be around you because I have such high emotions about this. So I kind of got that, but I also was like, yeah,
but the house,
all of this happens and you're like, everybody's like, okay, we're leaving, just go stay somewhere else and stay somewhere separately. Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, because they could have flown back home. It was clear he was very wealthy. So that was not a problem. They could have flown back home and she could have went and stayed at the Beverly Inn or something. And he went home with his kid or any number of things. Why would you go back into that house after that horrible, horrible experience with you and your kid? Because that was right after wait, he hadn't. No, wait a second. What had happened before he found out she was cheating? Because it wasn't all that stuff when he lost his kid, because that's after she left and they were doing the water, they were checking the angles. So it was just his nightmares and the extra door and someone writing in his book, right?
Yeah, and then he just asks her, do you like it here? She's like, no. He's like, me either, let's go. Like, but I don't think she had experienced anything super weird,
Okay. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
So, yeah, in a way, it's like she hasn't seen anything. She's like, okay, I'll go stay in town or whatever.
And he suffers from horrific nightmares, so...
To begin with, yeah, before they even got there. I did like that scene in the very beginning, though, when he, like, goes down to, like, do some shit and, like, comes back upstairs and it's been, like, 5 fucking hours and she's, like, asleep. I really liked that. I was like, ooh,
yeah, that
happening?
Was cool. That was cool. I loved that. Yeah, that was a really good moment. Yeah. All right. For me, I actually wrote a note. It would be fun to have Kevin Bacon on our show and ask him about his love for scary movies and tell him how much we love him in scary movies. So I have that written down.
That is very true.
Didn't find that on IMDb. That was my own thing.
Okay. Well, we could just ask, like, 6 people or whatever. One person who asks another person who asks, and so forth, 6 degrees, and then we'll
Tawny hated your movie, but she really liked you. And so,
yeah,
there we go. So filming was done in Wales, super beautiful. And there's not a lot about this movie. But there was going to be a theatrical release, but of course, because of COVID, they released it digitally. Thank you very much. I'm happy when movie houses do that. And we still get to see the cool movies. So the stats, it was the second most rented movie in its first week, and then it went down $3, $6. And then once they offered it, because they were offering it for $19.99, you know how they offer the buy it. Then once they offered
Yeah.
it to rent, then it boomed up again. So not super exciting. But this would probably go with our ratings, actually. I was surprised about the rating because I liked it so much, but you hated it. Or you disliked it. Not hated it.
Hate's a very
Sorry.
strong word. Yeah.
Sorry.
Disliked.
You see me. I loved it or I hated it. Like I'm very
Yeah.
passionate.
I'm always meh. I'm always like, I didn't hate it and I didn't love it. That's like always my go-to.
I love it. You're meh. I love that. That's so cute. I love it. It reminds me of that little Emoticon movie. You saw the Emoticon movie, right?
No, I have not.
Oh, I don't
No.
know why I assume that. Of course, like I
No
have
kids.
because yeah, the Emoticon movie's funny and it's all around the meh emoticon because no one uses meh, and so he feels it's very cute. So. I don't know if you'll like it, but anyways, you're meh.
You know, every once in a while, I will watch a family. I just have to say, in my own defense, Jade gives me shit all the time because, like, I don't love family movies and, like, animated movies. They're just not, like, my jam. And they're, like, last on the list of me to watch. And every once in a while, I get in a mood and I want to watch them. But when I do and they're really good, like, I will give it up. Okay? Like, Inside Out was, like, fantastic. I really liked that movie.
Yes. Have you seen
think
The
I
Life
even
of
cried.
Pets?
Yes, I liked that one, too.
Okay, good.
That was cute. I think I cried in that one, also. Because I'm a crier.
I cry in all of them. All of them. I cried
cry
in this
all the
movie.
time.
I cried in this movie.
Oh, I didn't cry in this one,
when
actually.
he said that to his daughter that you are, he didn't say you're more than enough, but he was that whole scene when he was saying that she was his life and what he was waiting for. My God, look, I feel like crying now.
That's good.
Like seriously, he is a good man. Maybe his ex-wife was really, really bad. You should save someone if they're about to die and you can save them. I'm just saying, like, I really like him. Like maybe she was horrible, abusive. She obviously drank and did pills until she passed out all the time. And what? I mean, she's
all the time.
well, no one just like just does that once and thinks that they can take a bath and do that. Like if they're not intending to kill themselves, they're just like, I'm going to take some pills and some wine and cozy up in a bath. You know what I mean? Like you've done that before. Like
yeah.
So anyway, the scoring was 40% on Rotten Tomatoes. So that makes sense with how we're so opposite. You know, some people did like it enough. Some people disliked it enough. So it was 40%. It was 4.89 out of 10. Okay. So the only kind of interesting tidbit I found was one critic named Terry Mesnard wrote that the larger-than-it-seems house in this film felt ripped from the 2000 novel House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielowski. Okay? So then Danielowski himself later accused the film of plagiarism, which I think Mr., and I hope he doesn't sue me, but Danielowski maybe what should have, because this was based on a book by the same name. So I don't think the movie.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
The movie
so, like,
didn't
if he's gonna sue somebody, it should be the book.
Yeah, the movie didn't plagiarize his book. They made it off the book. You should have left. So I'm not saying that that the person who, and I have it in here, but the person who wrote that book plagiarized. I'm just saying the movie definitely didn't because they made it off of another book.
Because it's based off the book. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
interesting. I've heard good things about that book. I've heard that it's creepy and scary, and I like the concept of it. Yeah.
Ooh.
It's like written in a way. It's thick and it's big, and it's like super confusing. Like I took a look at it at a book club that my friend Paige, she's actually the one here who's the creative director for the Idaho Horror Film Festival.
Oh,
so we had like a book club meeting in like February before COVID hit, of course. And somebody else had brought up House of Leaves and let her borrow it. And it's like, I looked through it and it's like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like snippets. It's not told in like a traditional, you know what I mean, story type situation. it's like there are excerpts and clips of things, and then some words will be like just a one word on a page or like whatever. It's just really like chaotic, and I like that a lot, but I haven't read it. But I've heard good things, so.
Ooh, interesting. I'm going to have to put that. I love reading. I'm going to have to check that one out. I never heard of it.
Yeah. But interesting. Okay, so here's a little tidbit that I just noticed in the credits. Eli Powers, I think is his name, played Amanda Seyfried's assistant, and he's her real assistant also. So I thought that was funny. I was just like, man, they are like ultra slimming down on this cast right now. Like they've got like 6 people, and one of them actually is Amanda's.
That is like, a good tidbit. I like that. Oh man,
isn't that funny?
They really did, slim this down. That's cool. Well,
that's not a lot.
No, it's not a lot. I mean, it's up to you guys. Well, I don't know if you're going to enjoy it now that you know everything, so you really shouldn't have listened to this episode if you hadn't watched it, but
I actually know like a handful of people who are always like, I don't like love horror movies, but I like to listen to people talk about them. So I'm just making space for you people out there who you don't actually want to watch the movie, and you just
want to hear
it's okay to have it spoiled for you.
Some of the movies we talk about, I don't feel like we really spoil it because, I mean, it's definitely a spoiler, but I mean, I find us saying, if you watch the movie, you'll still love it, is what I think. This one, if you heard like everything, especially everything Tawny said, then you
really spoiled it.
Might not enjoy this movie, because when that guy comes out, you know, you're gonna go like, oh yeah, that is Kevin Bacon's voice. So.
Yeah, sorry.
No, not at all. Let me spoil it. I'm just teasing you, Tawny.
What would you give it as a rating?
I was gonna give it a 4.5. I'm gonna say a 4. I forgot. I think. Why do I only give it I only give halves? I just realized.
What do you mean?
Like I have to do it 3.
Like, are you saying that you have never given a half?
Do I usually? Oh, I've never given a half?
You've never given a half.
Oh, why aren't I giving halves?
I don't know, but this is about to be my first half too, so you should do it.
Oh my gosh. No, but I can't, because I don't think
Why?
It was close to a 5.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5, and just realizing I have the power of halves that I've never used.
I know. Yeah. I know. I had to do it today too, because I was like talking it out with Jade, and I was like, okay, listen, like I gave Poltergeist a 2, and like I really did not like super love that movie. And I was like, but I gave Stir of Echoes a 3, and I enjoyed that more than I did this. So like, I was like, what do I do? Because I was deciding between a 2 or 3, and he was like, can you just give it a 2.5? I was like, oh my God, yes, I'm gonna do it. Because that's exactly like where I'd peg it between those 2 movies. Like, I liked it more than Poltergeist just because of like, I don't know, it's just my type of movie. Like, I liked the weird house shit, and I liked the characters and whatever, but I didn't like it more than Stir of Echoes.
Huh. What? I wish, you know what? I need to do this research. I want to know what I scored my other movies.
The other ones that we've watched?
Funny, it's like this. Yeah, the other ones that we've watched. So I literally I have it here because I want to know. So Stir of Echoes, because I love that movie, 4 out of 5. Okay. So there we go. Did I like it more than Stir of Echoes? No. So 4 out of 5. I'm good. I'm good with my score.
Okay.
I feel solid.
4 out of 5?
Yep.
And I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5.
That's a big difference.
Sorry, Kevin Bacon and David Koepp and Felicia, but I feel like we are cool with our differences.
Oh yeah, totally. I think it's really fascinating. I love it because I literally I don't get nervous, but I get in anticipation. I never know Like, I can like
Yeah.
something so much, and I'm just like, what does Tawny think? And I never know. You're like, okay, so, and then you either love it or you don't. It's exciting.
Yeah. I feel the same way, because sometimes I don't know. And of course, you hope. You're like, oh God, I hope you love this thing that I loved. And we get to talk about how much we loved it. But you don't know, you know?
You just don't know.
But the only one that I feel like I've struck out so far on my end is As Above, So Below. That's like the only one that I feel like I've presented that you didn't love.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you hated
But that's great.
Poltergeist.
Again,
And I loved it.
hate's a strong word.
Did you see that? You hated it and I loved it. Those are my those are my levels.
That's
right
your
there.
go-to. Yeah.
Yes.
Hate or love. I'm hesitant to say like I hated it or I loved it. Like I'm always like in between. There are a few movies that I will say I loved. And then there are a few movies I'll say that I hated. But that's just me though as a person. I'm just gray area.
Dude, if we had more time and could add, like, my daughter, my little one watches YouTube all the time, and the amount of editing, first of all, that these people that play games and record them, but the amount of editing with all these graphics and all this stuff. But anyways, the reason I'm saying all of that is because if we had more time or someone editing these for us, I would have them put the meh emoticon.
Men?
What? Yeah, totally. A little meh.
Listen, I can put in a meh emoticon, okay? I can do that.
I would love it. So, what I am very excited. My lights are getting really bright. It's because it's getting dark in here, and so good thing we're done though. So, but it's like, woo.
Turning it down.
You would think my beer was not non-alcoholic, but once again, I'm very excited about what we are watching next. So next we are watching a movie that we both have seen. And
I also want to say that
Yeah.
we decided to go with a true horror because the last like 5 movies we've watched have been what I would consider to be thriller or psychological horror. And like, I just wanted some like true, straight up horror.
Yeah.
So I told that to Felicia earlier.
And I'm very excited about, you want to tell him?
Yes, we are going to watch Quarantine,
Yes.
which is the most applicable movie we could watch just based on title alone.
Yes, Quarantine. This is perfect. Oh, this is kind of a side note. I watched Containment. Was that what it was called? With it was with God, I can see that guy. Good Will Hunting, Matt Damon, and let me just make sure. No, it's not called Containment at all. Oh shoot. I just want to tell people it was really interesting. Hold on. I really just want to tell you.
Contagion?
I'm
shooting in the dark.
No,
I
yeah,
don't
you're getting like totally the right idea. It was Contagion. I'm sorry. Yes, Contagion. I watched it and I thought it was so interesting and actually very eerie, but so interesting because you see where a disease or a virus starts, how quickly it spreads, how the World Health Organization and all of the Center of Disease Control, how they respond, how they find out about things, it was so it was scary and really, really good and interesting. Very interesting. How then these conspiracy theorists come forward and how just everything. It was really, I mean, especially right now with what we're going through, because you kind of, what am I trying to get at? The look on your face, you're like, what?
Oh, sorry. I'm looking it up. I'm looking it up to see if I have seen this because I feel like it sounds super familiar. Like I should have seen it. Yeah, because
it's not new. Well, 2011. It's not terribly old, but it was so. It's interesting because right now of what we're going through. So how things spread, how they come about, how our nation reacts, all the different organizations, why decisions are made in a certain way, and of course it's a movie, but still it was. And then some of the stuff seemed like to ring really true. like the conspiracy theorists saying, oh, they made this up because of whatever reason, and just all the different stuff that comes into play. It was really interesting to watch. And it was a really good movie.
I don't think I've seen that.
Really good actors in this movie.
Okay. I mean, yeah. Gwyneth Paltrow is the first one that shows up. Like, that's crazy.
Matt Damon, Jude Law, Kate Winslet. You should totally watch this movie. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it. But it also sounds like my worst nightmare. So, like, I'm not excited to watch it because, like...
Oh, sorry. Don't watch it then. I mean, I never... Other people,
like we've talked about, panic and everything. Like, whew, that's...
Yeah.
And also just the idea of, like, disease and getting sick and stuff. Like, I don't know if we've talked about this before. Maybe we have off air or on air. I don't even remember. But I have, like, always been an anxious person. And, like, most of my anxiety revolves around, like, health. And so, like, when SARS happened, I was probably, like... I was like a teen, a young kid, and I was so fucking worried about it, like, as a kid, like, I was so concerned. My family's like, we had to make sure that you didn't overhear the news because you would, like, panic about stuff, like, that's,
Tawny.
So, like, I've always been worried about shit like this, so it's just, like, I am living my nightmare in this moment with COVID, like, you should see me as soon as we get home. I'm like, did you wash your hands? I'm like, I'm gonna wash my hands. As soon as we get home, I'm like, did you touch the mail? You gotta wash your hands. Like, it's just like, ugh. And I can't think about it too hard because I'm like, if I touch the mail and then touch my phone and, like, wash my hands and then touch my phone, like, then I know I'm, like, contaminated. It's just like, whew, makes me sweat just talking about it.
Okay,
so this sounds like an awful movie to watch.
You did not tell me that, because I, as a friend, would not have said, oh, hey, you should watch this movie. I would have never said that.
But I will watch. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't stop me from watching.
But
I like horror, like 28 Days Later and stuff too is like that, where it's like it spreads so fast. And
I know, but now I'm worried. I don't want you to watch that and have an anxiety attack, because it was crazy.
Pretty, yeah.
But I think that too, I mean, that's interesting just because we don't usually talk about COVID and we don't have to go into it, because I know everyone has a lot of, there's inundated with all of this all the time.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, before COVID, I would go into Target or Walmart and shop and touch and go home and just do my thing and never, ever even think about it. Now I go in masked. I don't touch anything except exactly what I'm going to buy. I use the hand sanitizer. I do all of that, and I still feel like I am utterly filthy after I leave the store.
Me too. I have a bottle of hand sanitizer in the car that I use both to get out of the car and to get back in the car, because I'm like, okay, first of all, I'm touching my face and stuff, and then I'm going to go into this store and touch a bunch of stuff. I have to protect other people. So, like, I put it on before I go in the store, and then I put it on when I get back in from the outside of the store. But then you get home, you got to unload your groceries. So you got to, like,
all the
unload
stuff that was on the stuff.
It's just a lot. It's like, ugh.
Yeah. My daughter's going back to school Monday. My littlest one. Oh, really? Yeah, so we signed them up for, and I don't know if I could talk to you. Well, I already brought it up. I'll just say it quick, because I was going to say we could talk about this off air, but you know what? Everyone knows now. So let me just tell you, we signed all the children up for in-person instruction when schools open. So that they weren't, or the other option, it's just black and white. The other option is only online academy, because they're two different entities. So the kids are learning from their teachers via Zoom, because when schools open up, they can go back to school. Versus anyone who signed up for the online academy, they're homeschooled, period. Like, they can't now go to the in-person school when it opens up. And especially because my oldest, it's her senior year and everything like that, I was like, okay, when schools open up and they can go, they wanted to be able to go to school. Well, my kids, my two older ones, are in a different school district than my little one. And her school opens Monday. But if I don't enroll her, she has nowhere to go, because the teacher won't be doing Zoom because she's going to be in person, and the online academy, we don't have access or anything to that. So I could probably fight and get access to an online academy, but if I do that, she can never go back into school. And she's 6, and when it's safe, desperately needs to be in school around. You should see these kids sitting in front of the computer, 6-year-olds. Like, my older ones are cool. My older ones are doing their thing and everything's good. My 6-year-old is bored out of her mind. She's not paying attention. Like, so she's going to school. We've got the hand sanitizer, and the good thing is she wears her mask, because a month back, for a short period of time when she was going back to ballet, she was doing ballet for 4 hours. She wore the mask the whole time, and she's fine with that. Mm-hmm. She's really a rule follower. So if I say you have to wear the mask because of COVID, she'll wear it. So we're really nervous. We're nervous. And then on the other hand, do we need to be nervous? Because we hear all these things, like the hospitals are saying that, like, even if you pass away from a heart attack, they're classifying it as COVID because you get extra funding if it's COVID. But is that true? I don't know. I don't know what's true out there. You know what I mean? And so I'm like scared, and then I'm like, I'm sure it'll be fine. All I hope is that it is fine, because there's some really nasty people saying, I hope the teachers and the kids get sick just to prove that you've opened too early. Why would you want that? Why wouldn't you hope everything's fine? Because then that means maybe we can start, opening up school for children, or whatever the case may be. Why wouldn't you want it to be a positive outcome? You know what I mean? But anyways, that was a lot I just unloaded. Sorry, Tawny. You can edit it if you want.
I feel like it's relevant, right? And it's that's a very because, like, I, as a person without kids, sit back and go, like, why the fuck is this even a question? Why wouldn't we just keep kids home? But, like, not being a parent, I don't know. And maybe that's the case in more places than just yours. Maybe they're offering only one or the other, and you're sort of thinking, oh, okay, well, I don't want to take her out of in-person school altogether, because what if they open it back up in like 4 months, 5 months, and it's totally fine?
I want her to go to school.
You're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and that like, I just always feel like there are a lot of nuanced gray area layers to something, and like, I feel like that's a really interesting example, because I wouldn't have known because I don't have kids,
Yeah. So people are like, oh my God, how could you send someone back to school? But you're like, whoa, I don't know what else to do. There's also things that, people aren't thinking of, like the number of child abuse cases well, first of all, they went down with COVID. But the reason is because teachers and school administrators are the ones, like 50% of cases are reported
alerting
by then. So then the cases started to go up because there was more hospital visits because of the severity of it. So there's all of that too, with, different organizations wanting schools to open up safely so that these kids do have a place to go, or kids that's their only meal is at school. Like, there's just, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I literally am like, I don't effing know. Like, I feel so scared and worried as a parent. If someone's like, I am never sending my kid back to school, I get it. Or if they're like, yeah, I want my kid to go back to school, I get it. It's so hard. It's just, there's just so much. And I don't know. I just can't wait for it to be over.
Yeah, that's interesting. You should really just build like an outside containment area where you hose her off, just like in all the movies.
Yes.
We have her come in, obviously shielded from everybody else, but she has to take off all of her clothes, the backpack, whatever. You just hose her down and whatever.
Yeah, how about that? I said that to
chemical.
My husband. Like, what about in those movies where you step in, but it's before the door, and there's like all this white that comes down? And then you can go into the house because you've been disinfected. I don't know what those things are, but I've seen it.
Just build one.
Yeah, just build one.
Just build one.
But yeah, we could, or I put her in a bubble, like that Bubble Boy movie.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I fucking love that movie. I haven't seen it in a really long time, but I remember loving that movie.
That's awesome. Well, in your show notes, are you going to say tangents. I loved that, by the way. Your last show notes, how you had tangents include. I love it because that's so truly you. If you hate
What
tangents, you hate our show.
Yeah, I'm sorry if you. I cut out even 2 tangents from our last episode that I edited, so I had to cut down for time. So
sorry, guys. Tawny turned into a massive demon. She was having some technical difficulties, and it was like, ugh. So we stopped, and she is all back from purgatory now. But yes. So thank you, of course, for enjoying our tangents with us. I'm just going to assume you enjoyed them because I'm a positive person. And we would love to connect with you. We'd love to connect with you. Remember, you can find us if you put 2chicksandahorrorflick.com at Gmail with the at the front.
With an at.
Right?
Yep.
That's what Tawny was
Instagram.
saying. So that's what she was saying when she went all demon with an ad at
When I
the
was
front. Whatever. We would love to hear your thoughts about the movie. I'm so curious who liked it, who didn't, and what your thoughts were. You know, I totally nerd out. Like if I get a notification, someone commented, "You have a subscriber." I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So yeah, please connect with us. We love it. And remember that next time is quarantine. And I mean, we already told you how much we like it. So
Yes. So the cat's out of the bag there, but if you have not seen that movie, you need to watch it. Like,
yeah.
for real. It's very good. So that's what we're going to talk about next time.
Yeah. So thank you so much for listening. We love you so much. We don't hate you. We love you. And yeah.
Have a good night. No nightmares.